All right, so we're here on the Bazile's roof. This is the shingle we've selected for replacement today. We have gone with a Certainteed XT25 Weatherwood, which is the suggested shingle. The roof's pretty old. It's a 3-tab, it's brittle. We got a pretty substantial amount of granule loss, not too crazy. We're gonna go ahead and get started unsealing all the shingles that we may need to get underneath. A lot of these are already unsealed because this roof's pretty old. Some of them have a little bit of mat transfer. Some of them aren't sealing at all just because of the age. 3-tab are a little bit weaker than architectural shingles. And we're gonna go out a little far so that the shingle can be moved without creasing. So we got everything up here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start removing these nails. This one is for the shingle below. We actually will just leave him in there. Only gonna pull the shingle up as high as we need to get these nails out. We wanna be real gentle with the tabs we're lifting. And we don't ever use our thumb because it puts a lot of pressure on one spot. What we'll do is we use our fingers like this to kind of spread the leverage out to try our very best not to crease the shingle. So this one, they had a little an installation error. So the nail's actually off to the side. We're gonna leave it. All right, so you can see here, we took our time. None of these holes are torn from us having removed all the nails. And you know, it's pretty stiff. It doesn't have that malleability that a new shingle's gonna have. So you're gonna get creasy pretty easily. We're gonna go ahead, actually, go ahead and bring the camera down here. So what we've got here now is a 2-layer roof. So that's a red shingle, that's a red tab. Let's see if we can pull that up a little bit. Yeah, we've got a whole nother layer under there of shingle. You can see that there on the camera, good? Okay. So generally, regardless of what goes on the surface, we do not want to do repairs on roofs with multiple layers. You really want to get that first layer out. It's extra weight on the structure. They mold and deteriorate, and they will mess with the nailing surface. You really want to just have synthetic underlayment on top of decking. You don't want that extra deterioration in there. Okay, so straight away, got a pretty obvious color disparity. This is a light roof. It's kind of on the hot scale of colors. I would say it leans more toward orangish, kind of gray orange. This is a cold shingle. So it's clearly clearly mostly blue and gray. We do have very deep reds, a little bit deeper than maroon, black red in here. And there's a tiny bit of peach, but we do not have really any of that lightness that you see on the rest of the roof. This is a very dark, cold shingle on a light, hot colored roof. So for diligence, we're gonna go ahead and move on. The 3-tab shingles, they like them to be nailed one at the end, one over groove, one over groove, one at the end. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna use our tool here. And there's a little bit of argumentation on this portion of the repair. Per manufacturer installation guidelines, we are only lifting the shingle as high as we need to drive the nail flush. The nail must be driven straight and flush. We cannot lift the shingle barely and then try to say that we can get an angle. You can see it literally from there. There's absolutely no way that I'm gonna be able to get a straight nail driven without lifting the shingle high enough to drive it flush. So that is the nature of these repairs. So we are gonna go ahead and lift this shingle up. And we had a nail here over this groove. We're gonna go ahead and nail one in there right here. Okay, that's one. Same thing here. We have got to be able to get the mag hatch to be able to clear the shingle at an angle that it can be driven straight. So this little, trying to get in here sideways, crooked, blasting the edge, that's not how repairs are done. So the shingle has to be lifted high enough to drive the nail flush. And if we're worried about lifting the shingle so high at this point that you think it's creasing, that means that this is not repairable, right? The nail has to hold the shingle down. It has to be driven flush per manufacturer installation guidelines, the people that created the shingle. So we're gonna go ahead and do that again. That's 2 on the top row. And then here we have an end of a shingle and an end of a shingle. So groove, groove, end, end. And that's gonna give us 4 nails in the top row, which is code and installation guidelines. And you can see as I'm doing this, it is unfortunate, but it is the nature of these tests that we're already getting creasing here on the edges. There's a little bit of tearing going on, and there's clear granule loss throughout here, right? A little bit up here as well. And as we're hitting the roof, the granules on the new shingle are perfect. You can't brush these off. You could sit here and brush this 1,000 times. These granules are never gonna come off. That's what a shingle is supposed to do. Wind, rain, burn, snow, ice. These old shingles, I'm not even gonna do that to them because if you start manipulating them and messing with them, they literally just fall apart, especially with 3-tab, because they're not quite as thick and strong as architectural shingles. We're gonna move on to the next row. Following the same guidelines, lifting the tab only as high as I must, and I must to drive the nail flush because the nail is what holds the shingle in. There's 1. There's 2. See, that one's got to come out. It went in crooked. We want the repair to outlast the rest of the roof. The repair needs to live longer than this roof. If anything is done on this repair that will cause it to fail prematurely, that is a repair attempt fail. And we're getting that creasing through here. I'm being as gentle as I can, and we're still getting that creasing. And This will be the last one we drive. I'm gonna scoot over a little bit so I don't have to hammer at an angle. All right, so we've got the shingle in here. And again, as I was telling you, when you have a new shingle, they can be moved, like look at this, it's like a wet noodle. It's got plenty of malleability, it's rubbery. You can take this in, put it out, you know, repair it over and over again. This shingle can handle the manipulation. The rest of the roof is very thin and brittle. It becomes stiff. So instead of getting a smooth curve, like you see this one, it's limp, you know. It's very stiff, like cardboard, and it kind of selects a position to crease in. So you get this granule loss here through the middle of the shingle, you can see, especially up in the corners, a little bit of tearing and creasing here. You've got it through the top of the shingle here, through the top of the shingle here. And then again, especially on these corners, if you look close here on this one and this one here, so that's a compromised corner. I mean, you can literally see the line all the way down the shingle here where, you know, we have to lift the tab. The tab must be lifted high enough to drive the nail, right? But again, with new or, you know, not old shingles, you can move them all you want. This shingle is totally fine. These older shingles on this roof, they just can't be repaired. So along with the massive color disparity of this cold colored shingle on this hot roof, the creasing, you know, we got a little bit of corner tearing, you know, and then just good faith doing right by our client. It's my professional opinion that this roof cannot be repaired, and most definitely needs to be replaced as a whole, just because the system itself is failing. We've got the second layer, repair attempt fail, color disparity. So that's what we've got for you guys today. We appreciate your time. Have a good one.